first Filipino physical therapist to ever work in the NBA. My life has been a journey of firsts. Use the experience of that journey to then support those who want to also achieve their firsts.
Basically living a many firsts lifestyle, right? By creating the courage again and again and having this explorative mindset, inspiring others to do the same.
If what you do and who you are simply inspires one person, you've already done your job on earth. Drop one idea every year, one new technique every year, one thought process every year. And when you do that for 5 years, now you're like a legend and a guru. I'm grateful that I can take this one breath so I can be alive, so I can create one more day of impact in this world. I go and do my meditation for the morning, then I go on my gratitude journal. Everything may be destroyed, but you're not, we're alive. So why don't we live it? You should be grateful for that moment.
The stage is a space for deep connection.
One of the mantras that I tell myself before I go on stage, it's not about me, it's about them. My biggest message and my biggest mantra has always been,
Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Many Firsts, the podcast where we explore the power of first-time experiences and share transformative and inspirational moments in our lives. I'm your host, Regula Fischer, and I'm super excited to be here today, live in the studio in his neighborhood in Amsterdam, Erwin Benedict Valencia, also known as E. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
How has your day been so far? Any firsts?
Already. I mean, already first. I met my first samurai who also has the bloodline of a ninja family. And so not only have I met my first official 16th generation samurai, I also met the first ninja I've ever met, or first ninja bloodline I've ever met in my life. And I've been a ninja and samurai fan since I was a little boy. So this was a moment. Not just a first moment, but an unbelievable first moment for me this morning. I mean, seeing Sensei Zen on stage at the Mind Valley stage this morning I was like a little boy. I was brought back to that 5-year-old, 6-year-old boy that was so into ninjas and martial arts. And my father giving me the book of Bushido, which was the code of samurai, and reading that book and reading the philosophies at that such young age. I said, one day I want to be a samurai. One day I want to be a ninja. I didn't even know did I want to be a samurai or a ninja. You know, I didn't know really what the difference. I know the ninjas were bad because they were black and killed people. They were assassins, but the samurai were like the guards of the emperor. That's really all I knew. But I didn't realize that you could be both samurai and ninja. And the philosophies behind there was something that I never knew I had clarity from. And to listen to his talk, and I was so giddy that I wanted to volunteer. When he's like, can I get a volunteer? We're like, oh, and the whole time I get passed up on, and I'm like, I'm not going to get my chance. And then the last one, he was like, okay, last time can I get another last volunteer? And I was like, they're like, come on. I was like, I raised hand. I was like, yeah. And so we did the grounding, which is ironic. Out of all the elements, the ground was the one he asked me to go on stage with, because for me, I think above anything else, what I give to people and the energy I give before lifting it up is I ground people. And so for me, of all the elements that he put me up on stage for, it was the grounding element. So, and he basically had me hold a wooden sword. And then he had me hold the wooden sword like this, and then he pushed me, then I fell. Then he had me ground myself, focus on my core, breathe, hold the sword, and he tried to push me, and he couldn't move me at all. And he was using his entire body to move me. Then everyone was like, whoa. And I was like, whoa. So for me, it was like one of those moments that I was like, I've been dreaming of this moment for a long time. So suddenly I'm a full-on fanboy, and wherever he's going, I'm following around. I was like, I need to stop this. Like, can I take more pictures? Can I ask more questions? I was like, no, I need to just chill. I already had my moment. Let me just enjoy, let him actually take time.
What a powerful first. I would actually be curious to ask you again in a few days, how that moment still impacts you in that sense. But thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, you are. I think we already got a taste of it. You are a chief energizer, trailblazer, and a gratitude pioneer. So I think this is not the most standard kind of
description of
or
people.
roles that people you would be so very creative also. And you were born in the Philippines.
No, I was actually born in Passaic, New Jersey, in the United States, and from then moved to Houston, Texas after I was like a year and a half, 2 years old, and from Texas, but the age of 4 or 3.5, 4, moved to the Philippines.
I see.
So it wasn't until after 3 years or so that I moved to the Philippines.
For the first time.
Yeah, for the first time. Yeah, for the first time, exactly.
And it was in the Philippines, I believe, where you entered a career of physical therapy, or you studied physical therapy.
Yes, I started physical therapy first, but ironically, prior to that, I was really, even in high school, I was always a creative. I was, I was always a guy who I had my own I had my own hip hop crew. I was a choreographer. I was a martial artist. I was a tenor in my school choir as well as my church choir. I was, funny as you say, as this is many firsts. I think my life has been driven by being the first at many things. For example, as you talked about in the physical therapy world, my goal with physical therapy was to be one of the first Filipino physical therapists to ever work in the NBA, which I achieved. So for me, it was one of those things that my life has been a journey of firsts, as a trailblazer, as you must. And then that's maybe because I am the firstborn in my family, that I've always had the knack of not only trying to achieve things before everyone has as a pioneer, but also use the experience of that journey to then support those who want to also achieve their firsts.
That's very great. Yeah, that's basically living a many firsts lifestyle, right? By creating the courage again and again, and having this explorative mindset, inspiring others to do the same. And when you were the first Filipino physical therapist in the NBA, you were also, I think, the first one to introduce mindfulness and breathwork to the NBA.
I was one of the first to really create, not just, I think it was already introduced prior to one of my mentors, Phil Jackson, who was known as the Zen master. He was the first coach to bring the world of mindfulness into the NBA as a head coach, because he was a practicing Zen Buddhist. And that time there's that whether it's misunderstanding or just non-awareness of the role of not just the mind, but of stillness in the world of sport, particularly in basketball. And so Phil Jackson was the first one to really introduce that. And so he, lucky enough, was not only the president of the team that I was in with the New York Knicks, he found a kindred soul in me. He was Yoda and I was Luke Skywalker. And so he gave me the permission to be me, and gave me the permission to then start bringing these mindfulness practices back to the NBA. But then I was the first to actually create a daily in-season intention setting and breathwork program in the NBA. He did it as part of his coaching, but he never did it for the entire team, which included the coaches, the management, the players, even the staff. I was the first to bring that.
And how was that? How, let's say, easy? I mean, sometimes when there's new things, like, not everyone is always jumping in with joy. How was that process of introducing new things?
I learned early on in my sports career, which began with the Pittsburgh Pirates in baseball, in Major League Baseball, is that when you have new concepts, particularly in sport, don't try to throw the kitchen sink when you first arrive in the house. Don't try to just do everything at the same time. I was taught that, my head athletic trainer at the time when we were in Pittsburgh, he said, "Look, kid, you're one of the smartest kids I've ever known. You are one of the most innovative kids I've ever known. But the challenge in sport, and particularly in baseball, which is a very old school sport, is that people aren't immediately receptive to the ideas that you may have. So what you need to do is learn how to just drop one idea every year, one new technique every year, one thought process every year. And when you do that for 5 years, by the end of that 5 years, now you're like a legend and a guru, because you didn't just throw everything and pretend you were the best in the world, but you let people earn your respect by trying something first, and then they liked it. Then you say, okay, how do we move forward with the next one? Rather than just like, hey, you have to do all of this now. Because also athletes, they spend so much time in their lives listening to so many gurus, listening to so many trainers, listening to so many of their parents and coaches to tell them what they need to do. You try to add 5 things into their lives the first day you meet them, they're just going to be like, who the heck are you? I don't have space or capacity to listen to you. But if you say, hey, let me share you with an idea. And if it resonates with you, cool. If not, we can forget about it. You give them the option to see if they do want to learn, and if they do have space and capacity to learn that one thing. And more often than not, they will.
It sounds to me like also you're very patient, right, in that process. Yeah. There may be a lot of excitement in you or in general in people if they know there's something that could be beneficial, but then just making sure we bring people along may require some patience.
Which is funny, because as I talked about this, I gave my talk yesterday an MC giving a talk about being an MC.
MC, yes. Right.
But the biggest lesson in all of that is the understanding of where stillness and mindfulness plays a part. Ironically, being grounded plays a part in being a great MC, but also being a great teacher and being a great clinician. Because if there's one thing I've learned in all my years, in the 20 years I've worked in professional sport, is that all we are as teachers, as gurus, as mentors, as Sherpas and Shifus, is that all we are planters of seeds. And we should allow the flowers to grow on their own. Once in a while, we'll add some water, teach them something new, put some more ground, put some more soil, put some more sunlight. But in the end, they're growing on their own. You can't force that to grow. And so out of all my years, that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned. In the end, all we are planters of these seeds.
It's a very beautiful metaphor. I'm glad you're sitting on the side with a plant behind.
Hi.
That was a seed.
Works.
A seed that's going to growing. Yeah, but this power of presence and groundedness, when did you consciously become aware of that?
That began very early in my life. I began understanding meditation and mindfulness at the age of 7, thanks to martial arts.
Yeah.
Once again, I think going back to what I first said, I was being such a fanboy of Sensei Zen during his talk at 10 a.m. this morning, because of the fact I've always loved the understanding and the harmony, as he talks about, of peace and violence. And there's no better embodiment of that than a samurai, where the samurai can fight and will fight if necessary, but he will oftentimes try to do everything possible so that he doesn't need to fight. And that takes stillness, that takes inner peace, that takes power. And so for him, as he talks about that, it just once again reflects back on the things I've always loved about being a samurai, about being that 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid that says, I want to be a samurai one day. And for him to say that, it's like he just basically validated everything I've become because of what I wanted to be as a kid.
That's very beautiful. And we're talking about groundedness and stillness and peace here, and then at the same time the master, the chief energizer, right? So it's probably not a contradiction, but can you explore a bit for us how this comes together for you?
Yeah, in order for you to flow, to roll with the punches, to be able to move and elevate the crowd that you work with as an MC, as a master of ceremonies, as a host, you have to be rooted in groundedness. You have to be rooted in stillness, because in order for you to react to how the crowd is moving and move the energy around, you have to know what they're feeling. Because if you don't know what the vibe is, as you say, or the energy, how can you know how to either lift them up or cool them down?
Mm-hmm.
And I think using this samurai philosophy of you yourself are grounded, you yourself are still, and you flow like water, as Bruce Lee would say, when the punches occur. When you come up on stage and you tell a joke and the joke goes flat, how do you roll with that punch? You roll like the element of water. As I just learned that today, right? Like when the samurais come, if you try to go with full on emotion, you go like raw. You're so much energy. You're not even you're using your muscles rather than your soul and your spirit to go there. You're using your muscle, and then you get tired faster. But in a moment where, let's say, rather than using fire, you use the element of water. If now somebody's trying to attack you, if somebody says something or the crowd goes silent, how do you do it? You roll with it and then hit them with something immediately. Because why? Because you didn't put effort muscularly to do that. And I think for me, that's as an MC, as an energizer, if you put yourself from the beginning as groundedness, then you can create these flares all over from that because you yourself are stable. It's like, if you think about it, forts, where there were cannons back in the day during the medieval time, or post-medieval times, or the people with the arrows, like you need to have a fort to create that stability and then fire the arrows or cannons from there. You can't move it around and then try to fire from that. You need that stable ground first, that base.
Again, beautiful pictures. It's all very visually. I love it.
You're just grabbing me right now after being so fanboyed after the samurai situation.
Sensei,
so I'm in a zone.
We're so grateful for that. Grateful is a good tangent because you're also a gratitude pioneer, as you call yourself, right? But I think I see that a lot also, for example, on your Instagram account, these posts that you do with the years of the day, and then counting, like it's day 17,
days of the year,
of 365, and it's always very peaceful, and I feel somehow there's this gratitude coming through that, and it's a nice reminder I feel for everyone to just be grateful. But that's gratefulness is also or gratitude is also a practice, I would say. So could you take us a bit on the journey of your gratitude practices?
I've spent the last almost 8 years understanding the art, the science, and now more the academic research and literature behind gratitude. It started simply as at that time, the partner I had in 2014, she would remind me every morning, so what are you grateful for and why? And I said, why are you asking me that? I'm Filipino. I grew up in a culture of gratitude. Why do I have to express it when I am it? And she was like, well, because you need to be held accountable for that. And I was like, I like how she spinned that. First I was like, but I live in gratitude. Like I don't have to always express it. It's like, yes, but then how do I know whether or not you're deeply ingrained or you're just like, oh yeah, I'm grateful. So I want to hold you accountable. So we started practicing. I started asking me that, what are you grateful for and why? The why is the one thing that changes everything. And we broke up ironically, Valentine's Day of 2015. And for a few months, I felt this like emptiness I had. And then so I decided to be like, how can I make myself accountable for the gratitude that I give every morning? Let's use social media. So there in May in 2015, I began doing the daily gratitude. And I did the daily gratitude every day for almost pretty much 8 years, 9 years. Daily gratitude now is it's technically in its 10th year, but I don't do that on my post every single day anymore to start. I don't pressure myself to be like, I'm grateful for it, because I already do multiple practices in the morning for that. I don't need to put it in social media. So now I've kept the practice of giving gratitude for myself during my morning rituals. And what I share as that feeling of gratitude is the 365 days. So that each day I don't have to tell you what I'm grateful. You can see how it is when I just act. But that said, I always start my mornings before I even get off the bed is to put my hand over my heart, my right hand on my heart, my left hand over my right hand. And then I take a nice deep breath and then do it with me right now. Here we go. Let go. Do it with me right now. So Put your right hand on your heart.
Yeah.
Put your left hand over your right hand. And even, let's say your eyes closed, but then you're still asleep. The only thing you're wiggling is your toes. And before you even open your eyes, you take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. And then I tell myself, I'm grateful that I can take this one breath so I can be alive, so I can create one more day of impact in this world. And that's really what I do. And I take a nice deep breath in and then breathe out. And then now I slowly start waking up, moving my feet, moving my hands, and all that other stuff. So, because sometimes we forget in the most simple form is that the fact that we're simply breathing, we should already be grateful for that. And when I've worked with athletes in the past that don't know anything about gratitude, that don't know anything about mindfulness, don't even know anything about breath work, I just say, let's start with this. Just do this exact thing that I did with you and see how that feels. You don't even have to act the impact. You just take the breath. I give gratitude for the fact I can breathe one more day so I can create more impact in this world. You don't have to do that. You can just simply say, thank you for being alive. You can start with that. And that has helped some of the athletes I work with be able to at least begin some sort of practice. Because once you go there, then they ask me, okay, what do you do after that? After that, I go and do my meditation for the morning. Then I go on my gratitude journal or whatever journal I'm working on. Right now, I'm using something called Gratitude and Potential by B. Unraveled, a young lady from San Francisco who was in tech for a long time, started going really heavy on the academic and research side of journaling and gratitude and potential and positive psychology. Had many conversations with some of the experts in the world and created a journal with it. And for me, I was like, I love this because it makes it, as a curious scientist at some point that I have in me, I don't want it to be just the exact same thing all the time. I want to be like different variations of things, like different themes. Like this week would be potential. Last week would be groundedness, but all having gratitude as part of that. So she did an amazing job with this journal, and that's what I'm using right now. So after that journal, I start playing my start of the day song playlist, which starts with Good Day by Forrest Frank, which is, we're gonna have a good day, no matter what they say. Sun is shining down on me, birds are singing praise. So it already brings me in that mindset of being grateful that the sun is shining in the sky. So now it stacks it. So you can tell everything I'm doing is a gratitude hack, and it stacks. Now you're stacking. And then lastly, movement. So now I move. Now I start by moving my hands like this, and then I start jumping, like jumping, like just like calisthenics. I start doing calisthenics, and then with the music playing in, then I just like, and then because the next song is I'm blessed. So like this good day, and then if the sun is out, then I'm blessed. Then you're jumping, and then I'm like and all part of the fact that I'm grateful for the fact that I have a body that can move, a body that can shake, the body can express itself, and then. Then I start dancing. First the shaking, a little bit of stretching, calisthenics, and then the song goes into Bad Bunny's Baile Inolvidable. Then I start dancing salsa. And then we can start with the day.
That sounds like a beautiful start to the day. And you said it's a practice, right? So yes. Thank you for that. I'm sure it's very inspirational for many. Are there days where you cannot do the practice, or where you just are okay not doing it, or do these days feel different?
Those days feel different, but if, let's say, I have a hard time completing all of it, I find at least one or two things out of it that allows me to still be in this phase. Sometimes the journaling kind of falls through. Sometimes the movement part falls through, especially like let's say, for example, in the past 2 weeks prior to coming here, I was with my family in the Mediterranean. It was a family reunion with 30 of us, plus it was also the celebration of my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, which I'm very, very grateful for. But then, cruise ships have tiny cabins. There's no space to do any kind of movement, but there's a space for me to meditate. So what I would do is go outside the balcony, and that's how I would be able to meditate there. Of course, I wake up in the morning, take a nice deep breath. I can do that. I walk outside, I can meditate. And sometimes I can journal. But then when the cruise ship is doing its thing, going like, good morning, cruise shippers. It's now 6:05. We are now arrived at the port of Livorno. And you can go outside the shuttle to get to this town is €7. And it never stops. And you're like, wow. And so everyone's panicking. It's like, we got to get out. And so sometimes you miss out on that, on the other things that I do. So what I try to do, if that happens, I try to find moments in the day to just stop and give gratitude in whatever way possible, in the small, simple things. If I stop, I sit down. If let's say we're in Italy, now I've learned even more so how to live il dolce far niente, which is the sweetness or the art of doing nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
I would get an espresso, especially after 11. Just be grateful for that moment. And so it never is something that like I pressure myself to do, that my day becomes bad, because if I don't achieve it as a ritual, then my day goes bad. That said, if I complete all of those things, it's going to be a super epic day, no matter what they say.
Did you do it this morning?
Of course.
And then Sensei added up on it.
Oh yeah, so imagine that.
Oh, this day is just
I am supercharged now. And he was like, look at your face.
Watch out.
You are so happy. Like, yeah, I'm supercharged now. So,
and I could imagine, as you're so much into this practice of gratitude, that it's embodied, right?
Yeah.
Even without, let's say, the practice, even without following it step by step,
yeah,
it's embodied so that it wouldn't disappear the next day. Like when we train enough with muscles or so, it's not all gone if we skip one day, but it's important to.
And also, as I said earlier, it's part of Filipino culture. I've after spending a lot more time back in the Philippines in 2024, I've realized that we come from a culture of gratitude, but we're not always a culture of mindfulness. And they usually go hand in hand, but Filipinos aren't always mindful, but they're always grateful. But we're always grateful. Like this past month, there was a massive typhoon that just passed through the streets of Manila and parts of the Philippines. And we're talking floods that are waist high, that go into houses, that destroy everything. But what do Filipinos do? They used the bridges that were filled with water and made them swimming pools, diving pools. What did they do? They found a couch that was floating. They sat on the couch, got a guitar, and started playing guitar while the couch was flowing in the middle of floods. What did they do in the basketball court? They still played 5-on-5 basketball, even if the water was up here. Because why? Everything is shut down so we can play basketball. They found a way to find joy, even the most challenging times in their life. And where that's rooted in is the fact that everyone is grateful that they're alive. Everything may be destroyed, but we're alive. So why don't we live it? Wow. And for me, this is the culture that I was born and raised into. And so I'm already supercharged from the beginning. Now add a scientific practice on that, then add a feeling of being part of community, then add bumping into somebody who you've wanted to meet all your life. Today is going to be epic. Yeah.
Again, I love the energy and then I think I would add for you also this ability to engage and to share your energy so generously. Still, if you go on all these stages, right, you use the word pressure a few times now in terms of not pressuring ourselves too much in terms of keeping up with things like social media. But still, going on a big stage, I would believe you're probably still a bit nervous sometimes, or there might be pressure. How do you deal with that? Or do you not feel it in that?
For me, it's funny. For the first time, maybe yesterday, after a long time, may have not been obvious, but to speak on stage about being an MC kind of made me a little nervous. Because being an MC, for me, it's not just like riding the bike. It's like going on a Harley Davidson and going 100 kilometers per hour with no problem. But then to speak about it, for the first time, I felt kind of nervous, which is funny. And actually, it was fine the whole time until I started wanting to thank people. And I weirdly enough called my friend Jorge, and I called him Jose. And first, I don't think anyone got it until one of our other friends, Zane Asher, looked at Jorge and said, "Did he just call you Jose?" And I saw what she did, and then I got nervous. That was actually the first time in that whole talk I got nervous, and I kind of got flustered a little bit. And then, ironically, I channeled myself as an MC, and then I was able to roll with it. Then I was able to flow like water. I was able to like avoid that sword and hit back in a different way. And so I was just like, what's funny is that everything I was talking about happened in real time.
Yeah.
So the audience saw that. And it was interesting to see the MC side of me during my talk about being an MC.
Yeah, it's so beautiful how you're describing that, because there's really all these meta levels. And if you're saying you were nervous to talk about as an MC, being an MC, is that the thing that added to the nervousness, knowing that I'm doing while I'm talking? So that, yeah, I can understand.
When my MC, when that when I called my friend the opposite, different name, that initial nervousness, anxiety, kind of like, that's when it, as a speaker, came off, and I said, okay, screw it, it's time to be in MC mode now. Forget the speaker mode, we're time to MC mode. And then then I was not nervous at all, completely. Then there was no nerves.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So is that maybe more, your thing, MCing?
Yeah.
Then, or what's the difference for you between the two?
Being a master of ceremonies is very different from being a speaker. Speakers often come, and the biggest goal for each speaker is to bring value to the audience from themselves. As a master of ceremonies, your job is for the audience to gain as much value as they can, and you just show it to them. You're not telling them. It's almost like you as an MC have to absorb what they want and let them channel through you, rather than you channeling to them. And that's the massive difference between speaker and MC. It's very speaker and MC. It's like almost like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
You crack a joke.
Yeah.
If the audience doesn't do anything, how do you then react to that? Because it's about their experience. Oftentimes, from a speaker, it's about your experience that then brings into the audience. But as an MC, you have to understand what they're experiencing right now, and then channel that so that they can understand how they're supposed to feel.
It's also very present, very in the moment.
Yeah. And if you're not if you're not in the moment, then you don't know how the crowd is reacting.
So you're going out there. I mean, you cannot know what expects you ever, right?
Never.
So you're very comfortable with the unknown, basically.
Yes, and especially on stage or on camera.
I think you said something about the stage. What was it? The stage is a place for. It was something very powerful where I felt what for. I wrote it down somewhere, I think. The stage is a space for deep connection.
Yeah.
And I think most people would think like, the whole stage fright and stuff, why would the stage allow us to connect deeply?
Yeah, I mean, that came about because, like, I think about it, one of the mantras that I tell myself before I go on stage, especially as an MC, is that after I ground myself, I take a deep breath, I feel my feet, and I say, it's not about me. It's about them. So your job is to alchemize that energy and bring it back to them, to see what's happening in this, see what's going on in this recipe, and then as the chef, now use that recipe and make it an amazing meal. So, and that only happens because you're there to create that deep connection between you and the audience. I'm merely a vessel for the experience for which they want to have. I'm not dictating that experience. A lot of MCs, as they're starting off, they feel they need to perform. They need to be entertainers. They need to be like, hey, watch me do this, watch me do this. I'm the MC, so I'm controlling it. No, the audience is the biggest reason why you're there in the first place. So how can you serve them the most? by allowing them to have this connection between you and them.
That's so beautiful. How did you learn that? Was that by doing, or do you have like teachers? Do you get inspiration
No,
from?
this was by doing, but
That's
also
you.
once again, it's I come from a culture of hosting. As as a 10-year-old, you're given a microphone in your hand, or even more. I think I was given the microphone when I was 6. And you can either, in family reunions, you can either dance, sing, do some sort of skit, act, do some sort of poetry, or you can be the master of ceremonies. And when I was younger, I sang. As I got a little bit older, I started dancing because I was a hip hop guy when I was. And then when I was over it. I just did poetry, and I was done with it. And then I said, okay. When I became, and I'm the oldest in my generation of cousins, and during family reunions, each family has to present something. And so I said, well, I don't want to dance or act, so can I just host? Okay, sure. So imagine that's already part and ingrained in our culture during our Christmas family reunions with 150 to sometimes 500 people. So, but that starts small. That starts with just the immediate family, and then now you're meeting the cousins. Somebody has to have these shows, because we always have performances. We always have shows within our families or any kind of celebration. So we're already trained from the get-go. If you go to the Philippines, everyone knows how to MC.
Wow.
But more often than not, most of them make it about themselves. Hey, I'm former Miss Universe. I'm former Miss whatever. I'm going to MC now. I'm going to be host. I'm your host. And it was like about them. And so they're following a script because it's about them. Because, oh, look at me. I was former, Miss whatever. Rather than like looking at the audience and engaging. It's like, how are you guys doing today? I was like, what, you over there. Like, nobody really does that. Everyone can MC, but not everyone is really good because they don't command presence.
Yeah, it's very insightful. Is there a first you would like to create in the coming weeks?
I think I already did it. The first time I think for the first, I don't think there's ever been anyone on the Mind Valley stage to talk about MC. What it takes to be an epic MC. And I did that yesterday. And it was a weird thing for me because I didn't really mean or need to do it, because I am
You
it.
Yeah.
So I don't need to do it. But then in the past 2-3 years at Mind Valley, I've had friends who've asked me, hey, Vision asked me to host something, or I was told, I met somebody at Mind Valley that wants me to host their conference. I'm a speaker. I'm not a host. Can you give me some coaching tips? Or like, I've always wanted to host. Back in Singapore, a lot of these events, and there's no host, or my cousin's getting married, and it's an Indian wedding with like 500 people, and they want me to host it. I mean, because they think I'm a speaker, so they think I can host. I'm not a host. Can you give me some tips? And when 3 people ask you that in 2 years, you're like, okay, it's time to do something about this. The 3rd year, I'm going to do something about this. And so I did. So that was the first.
Another first. So many firsts. Is there anything you would like to leave us with as a final message before we close?
Yeah. I think my biggest message and my biggest mantra has always been, if nothing else, dream to inspire others. And why that's so close to me, why that's my mantra, and that's why that's my like personal quote, like that would be in my gravestone, is because I think we live our lives not understanding. Most people will live their lives not understanding what their purpose is, because they think there needs to be something solid. It needs to be like, oh, my purpose is to build the biggest company in the world. My purpose is to, be a coach and heal 10,000 people. I think sometimes we don't understand our purpose because we think too grand of what this purpose could mean, rather than keeping it simple.
Wow.
And in the end, if what you do and who you are simply inspires one person, you've already done your job on earth. So why have to like make it such a massive thing that then puts pressure on you from the beginning, rather than just being? And when you are, it allows people to see what they can be as well.
Thank you very much for this Beautiful final message, and for being here today. We
Thank
love
you.
your neighborhood.
I know. I didn't even know. This is epic. I was like, oh, okay. This is cool.
Everything is just epic today. It goes with E, right? Your name is E, epic, everything. Anyway.
You know what's funny is somebody told me, like, if I think I was going into another talk or a workshop or something, and this person didn't know whether or not they were going to go to the workshop. I was like, hey, are you going to this workshop? Are you going to this talk? Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty epic one. And like, oh, if it's going to be, if you're saying it's epic, we definitely have to go there. But apparently epic is my word. So yeah, energy, epic, energize.
E again.
Enthusiasm.
Yes. Oh yeah. What else do we have?
Equanimity.
Good one. I have to think of a word that's in Swiss German which wouldn't translate.
I know.
But it's a flower with E. So we also talked about the seeds.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
But thank you, E. Erwin, very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks, everyone. If you like today's episode, there we go. An E-word. It would mean the world to us. If you like it, share it with anyone who could need a boost in courage. And we would also like to hear from you. What are your reflections after hearing about samurais, ninjas, gratitude, and so on? All the words with E. What's your E-word today? Share with us in the comments. And let's keep creating powerful firsts together. Many, many, many. We'll see you next first time. Until then, much love and courage. Ciao.